to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
It's a summer show. I want to see people on a beach playing each other, and I want to see, dozens of people go on and only have, one limited couple at the end of it.
Just the head games everywhere.
I can't believe he's talking to that other girl on the beach.
No, wow. And there's thousands. We haven't been around in a while.
We haven't. And that is entirely my fault, as it usually is.
As it usually is. And I mean, some of it's mine. I got a little lackadaisical when I said we were going to crank stuff out while you were gone.
Happens.
And then technology decided to hate me again. This time it's been my file explorer slowing down on me and everything. And I'm like, what does this have to do?
It's kind of Explorer. Not the Internet Explorer has died.
Right, yeah. Rest in peace to a legend.
Rip in peace.
I wonder what that's going to mean for my PDFs that are on Edge.
I don't think anything from Microsoft Edge would go anywhere.
I don't know.
No, I think you should be fine.
Hopefully I can still open those and what have you.
Right, yeah. No, you
right?
should be. It's just that Microsoft just being okay, Internet Explorer sucks and nobody uses it, so we're just going to use it.
Explorer hasn't been used in 10 years.
That's ridiculous. Breaking news. Steve Jobs died.
God. Breaking. No. I was going to make a Betty White joke and I'm still too soon. So the last time we got to talk, we were nowhere near a cup final, and here we are going into game 2.
Well, last time we talked, the Rangers were up 2-0, weren't they?
The Rangers were up 2-0.
Or did we cover the Palat game? I think we covered Palat.
So what happened was we covered it. We had a show.
And it didn't go up. Right?
And it didn't go up in full. So that's why while you were gone, I was working on clips from that. That's where the From the Archives thing came from, right?
Yeah. Okay, so last time we had a full podcast that people listened to, the New York Rangers were up 2-0, and as of right now, we're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the New York Rangers are not in it.
Oh. Cinderella runs are over.
Yeah. Do we call this one a Cinderella run?
I mean, the Rangers are a really good team.
I know a lot of people want to push the narrative, especially in New York, oh, we weren't supposed to be here. And I will contend that I didn't pick them to go to the third round.
I didn't see them going that far, but at the same time,
we both picked them to finish second in the division before the season began. It's not like people thought that this wasn't.
I think we did, yeah.
It's not like this is, a Montreal Canadiens situation last year or a Dallas Stars situation the year prior.
A Vegas inaugural year.
Yeah, no, the Rangers are a good team. We just thought that they were second round ceiling for this season.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through it. They got to the third round. They have a lot to be proud of, but they also learned a very, very difficult lesson.
I mean, they did it all on the back of one 25-year-old dude.
Yeah. I mean, the Rangers are they're not bad, but they're not great defensively. We saw that in the regular season, and they were actually abysmal in the playoffs, according to all the underlying numbers.
I mean, when you're going up against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, I mean, they're kind of
They didn't have an easy route. There was no days off for the New York Rangers in these playoffs. They had to go up against Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin in the first round.
Jeff Carter and
Chris Letang, Brian Rust.
Yeah.
They made moves to get Rickard Rakell at the deadline.
Bad for Rakell.
Really good for them. They're a good team. It's the Pittsburgh Penguins for crying out loud.
And the legendary Louis Domingue.
And that was what saved him in the first round, man. It's. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Rangers. They learned a lot from this. This is a good experience.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no doubt about it that they benefited from the fact that they had a goaltending matchup of Igor Shesterkin, the Vezina Trophy winner this season.
I mean, it's all but locked up, right?
It's locked
Excuse
up.
me.
Yeah. Against.
I saw that they're debating it on NHL.com, and I'm like, why are we still debating it?
Well, that's NHL.com just like being like, hey, like pretty heated debate, and it's like, no, it's really not.
No, because I mean, when is that supposed to come out? When does that award get announced? Do we know?
Doesn't it get announced like post-season, like after the season's over?
Because I know there's so many of them that get announced like during the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then like the rest of the chunk of them get announced like at the award show.
Yeah, and those, I think that's one of the award show ones. Like we'll find out who wins the Vezina, who wins the Hart, stuff like that. But
Lindsay, all of those.
Yeah. Lindsay, that's important too. Did we find out who was the Jack Adams winner?
Jack Adams. I don't think we. Wait, no. Oh, that's the guy that didn't care. Daryl Sutter.
Okay, that's funny. I could have sworn that one got named. I just can't remember who it was. So yeah, we got who the Jack Adams Award winner is.
It's funny because he came out in a presser and was like,
Yeah, I actually didn't listen to that. That's just so perfectly Daryl.
He's just like, I couldn't care less. We didn't do what we wanted to do. I couldn't care less about this one.
They're in a tough situation this offseason, but I'm sure we'll get to that some point. But back on the topic of the Rangers and the fact that they lost 4 straight to the Tampa Bay Lightning, like I said, it's a tough lesson to learn. But I mean, this is what Tampa does to teams. We talked about this in the episode that didn't get posted entirely. That this is what Tampa does. People have this misconception of what true utter dominance is. You know, dominance in the National Hockey League isn't the same as dominance that you'd see, say, in the NBA. Like in the NBA, dominance is the Golden State Warriors winning 3 titles in 4 years. Just sweep, winning 5. You know what I mean? Like
right.
That's
when there's
dominance.
like no competition at all.
Whereas like dominance in hockey is kind of similar to like Tampa Bay Lightning are kind of like the Patriots in a little bit of a way in terms not in terms of their dynasty, but in terms of like how they win. Where it's like it's a little bit of a feel you out process. They don't dominate teams. They find ways to win, you know. It's a Malcolm Butler interception at the goal line. You know, it's a field goal at the end of the game by Anna Vinatieri. You know, it's coming back from 28-3.
Oh God.
That's what Tampa does. They were down. Look, they were down 2-0 to the Rangers. They hadn't been down 2-0 in the 2020 playoffs and the 2021 Stanley Cup. They haven't been down 2-0 since the Blue Jackets series, and they haven't won 4 fucking straight games. That's what they do.
Right. Like it's crazy how much of this comes all the way back to 2019, right?
It does. Yeah. And I see a lot of people like trying to like kind of crap on Torch for being like, we created a monster, but because they're like, oh, look at him taking credit for what Tampa's done. But literally,
it kind of did. He kind of deserves it in a way.
I look on Twitter, man, like I have a lot of friends who are Tampa Bay fans, like just in my followers, but also just like looking at like Twitter and Lightning fans, like random ones. They all say the same thing. They all look at the Blue Jackets series and say like, it sucked, but we needed it.
Yeah.
Change things. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Torch saying that, because I think there's a lot of truth to it.
It's very much that series. You know, that was a wake-up call in a lot of ways, because like as much as we talk about it, we talk about it to this day for a reason, right?
Absolutely. It showed them what they needed to do, because you look at the Blue Jackets and their style. Okay, let's think back to that 2019 team.
At least, yeah. Look at the style at the time.
They had skill. That's why they got Matt Duchene. They had Artemi Panarin.
Yep.
You know, Oliver Bjorkstrand was starting to break out. Okay. Obviously, you got Z and Seth on your back end. But
Right.
do you know what they had? And that's what I think was a significant difference maker in the series was Pierre-Luc Dubois, not just for his skill.
For being a total pest, yes.
Josh Anderson, David Savard.
Savvy was everywhere.
He was everywhere. He even scored a goal in that series.
Yeah, he scored a big goal in that series.
But I mean, he was a pain in the ass to play against. It was just, and Brandon Dubinsky was playing in that series too. That was when he was last healthy.
Oh my God.
So like that Blue Jackets team was just a pain in the ass to play against, man. It was everything that Tampa lacked. Because Tampa didn't lack much that season because they're just as good as
think about it. They were a 62-win team. They tied the record.
Yeah. So there's really not a lot wrong with that team. It's just they realized in this series, like, man, we got no damn beef on this team.
Right.
And what do? They get a Barclay Goodrow. They get a Blake Coleman. They get a Nick Paul. They get a Brandon Hagel.
They were nothing but soft skill.
Mm-hmm.
And
they developed that part of their game.
We talked about this just, while you were on vacation. When Dangle put out his cup check for game one, right? I mentioned that he said something in that for this Tampa team now.
Yeah.
Where they're all soft skill players, but they all have the work ethic of fourth liners.
The work ethic, the grit, the determination.
Because think about what they have now that are the new Coleman and Goodrow in Paul and Hagel. You look at Nick Paul and Brandon Hagel, and I don't see, muck it up, grind you out kind of guys.
Not from Hagel, but from Paul.
I mean, Paul's got that kind of work ethic, and he'll go and do that. But
he's got underrated skill.
But like when you think Nick Paul, I don't think of like a Goodrow or like one of your typical fourth line.
Yeah, no, he's not like a total like pest. He's just huge. He's just gigantic.
Underratedly huge. Yeah.
He's a big guy, man. I mean, but and that's what they do that I like the most is a lot of these teams like to, at the deadline, we're going to get the best player available. We're the 2013 Pittsburgh Penguins. We're going to trade a bunch of assets and we're going to get, Brendan Morrow and Jerome McGinley. And, like we're this team, we're going to trade for this player, we're going to make ourselves as best as we can at the deadline. Tampa Bay, what they do that's incredible is they don't care. They don't need to acquire that top end skill. They already have it.
Well, yeah.
They're under the realization
everywhere.
We don't need to add stars. Our top six is as good as it's going to get. What we're going to do is we're going to get guys in our lineup who provide energy.
I mean, they kind of got even better now that Braden Point came back.
I think that there is a little bit of a misconception with some teams that in order to succeed, you need to acquire players who've won Stanley Cups. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that can't help.
No, it helps.
Tampa goes out and they get guys who've never sniffed the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only guy that they've acquired in the last few years who was like a true contributor through like a trade was Barclay Goodrow because he went to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2019 with the Sharks. But like Blake Coleman had 5 playoff games under his belt with the Devils when they lost in 5 to Tampa. Nick Paul's never made the playoffs. Brandon Hagel's never made the playoffs. They go out and get these guys who are hungry that just want to play some fucking playoff hockey. And they say, hey, like, we're a really good team. And your hunger to go after this thing that you've never had the chance at is going to drive the rest of our guys who've already won it.
Plus, it fills a role, right? They're called role players for a reason as well, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. Like they're in the Stanley Cup Final right now, so like Tampa Bay's trade of trading 2 first-round picks to get Brandon Hagel has already paid off.
I mean, yeah.
He's done like sure he hasn't like produced at the rate that I'm sure people were kind of hoping, but he's
Well, remember
filling.
we talked about it when the trade went down, right? We're
You can't expect this guy to produce at that same rate when he's not getting top 6 minutes.
no, and they don't need him to play the top 6 minutes.
Look at their roster. Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
need to play top six. What? Who are you going to replace? Oh, okay, we'll just bump Kucherov down.
We'll put Cooch is an interesting player to talk about in that regard because he's underratedly nasty.
We saw it with this hit on Marcus Nudavara.
Saw it with his hit on Nudavara. We saw it with a lot of stuff in the Islanders series the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's underratedly like dirty and like not in a great way.
And it's like kind of what we talked about at an earlier point in time where it's that feeling of star players need to protect themselves.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's probably more the case than anything else. You know, you got to have some bite to your game so guys don't target you. Some players had that respect. Stamkos has that respect, you know, like
Right.
I don't know if Braden Point's earned that respect yet, but
No,
he's so good.
he's probably gonna get there soon.
Yeah.
I would hope. Well, for his
I had an interesting question posed to me the other day that we don't have to discuss today, but I think it's an interesting topic we should talk about in a later episode. It's like, who's the greatest Tampa Bay Lightning of all time? And naturally, my answer was like, oh, it's Vinny LaCappa. Yeah, he was the first one. He was the captain. He won the Stanley Cup in 04. He was huge to Tampa hockey. But it's like, Stammer's got 2 Stanley. He might have 3 by the end of the month.
I immediately defaulted to Marty.
Yeah, people say Marty. People say Vinny. Some people right now are saying Stammer, but also Kucherov, Vasilevsky,
Vassy, yeah.
The Tampa Bay Lightning have not been around for that long, and they've got a pretty fucking rich history.
Is this not their 30th year on the button?
Yeah. They have a richer history than some of the teams that have been like around for 50 plus years.
Look
they
at
have
the
significantly richer history than the St. Louis Blues.
Look at the Canucks and the Sabres.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Canucks and the Sabres are as old as my dad, and
if they win the cup this year or next year, the year after that, like they'll have a richer history than the Devils.
I mean, it's nearly an official dynasty already.
Yeah, they're richer than the Capitals. Like it's unbelievable because the question for so long has been like when they first came, like, can hockey work in Florida? Yes. Right. Yes, it can. It absolutely can.
Look at it now. Yeah.
Yeah, but just to kind of end it with the Tampa New York series. New York is probably 99% chance that Ryan Strome will not be back.
Ooh, that's
and they've got some to make this off season because Kakko's an RFA.
Kakko could leave because they just brought back Kravtsov.
Well, Kravtsov's not going to stay. They're going to trade him because Kravtsov left at the beginning of the season, if you remember, because he wasn't really getting minutes and he kind of rage quit the cage. Like,
yeah,
he hasn't been thrilled with their organization. So they signed him to a 1-year deal. It's very tradable. He will be dealt. It's hard to win a Vitaly Kravtsov trade because there's a lot of skill there, and he was the 9th overall pick, and I'd say his value is probably equivalent to a 3rd-round pick right now.
Yeah, I mean,
just because teams know you have to trade him, and like, he's what, 4 years removed from being drafted, and
I don't even remember like literally anything he's done even overseas because I just kind of forgot about him for a while. We remember the drama, but then we don't keep up with how he performed.
Yeah. It's because he hasn't been given really much of a chance. So that's another prospect that the Rangers had that they drafted high that they're going to end up selling low on. They had to do it with Elias Anderson. They're going to have to do it with Vitaly Kravtsov. They traded Ryan McDonough for Brett Howden and Libor Hayek. Libor Hayek's probably not going to be with the team long term. Brett Howden's already gone. They traded him for a 4th-round pick. So
Oh yeah.
the Rangers are a good team, and there's a bright future for them.
Mhm.
But one legitimate criticism that people have of them, specifically me, is their inability to really truly develop some of their young forwards. They've done a good job on defense. You look at Keandre Miller, you look at Ryan Lindgren. They're fine on defense. Libor Hayek didn't work out. That's okay. That's just one instance. They've done a good job elsewhere.
We can't
But
praise
with
those two enough.
forwards-
Like, yeah.
Yeah. With forwards, man, and I'm looking at Laugh's pretty good. Is he first overall pick good through 2 years? No, but he's still good.
Well, again, it's also too early to tell.
It is too early to tell, so I'm not going to harp on them too much for that. But we have 3 full years under our belt of Capo Caco, the 2nd overall pick, and he has played nowhere damn near a 2nd overall pick.
The defense is getting there.
The defense has improved a lot. I'll give him the credit that his defense has improved over the course of the last 3 seasons. But you don't select a guy 2nd overall to be a bottom 6 defensive force.
No.
Well, especially when they average almost 0.9 points per game overseas in the Finnish Liga.
So let's compare this then before we go into like the actual cup final, right? 2017. The Devils get Nico Hischier.
Yes.
Is Nico Hischier a household name kind of player?
No. I very much compare his career arc so far to that of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I think he's a little better skill-wise. But the fortunate thing for the Devils is they have Jack Hughes. They don't need him to be that, a household name anymore.
He's
kind of
not
the
right.
Sabres don't need Dahlin to be a household name because they now have Owen Power.
Because of Owen Power, right.
So, no. Nico Hischier is not a household name, but he's a pretty damn good player.
He's an amazing captain for that team.
He's a good captain for sure. And I think that, in the role that he plays as 2nd-line center behind Jack Hughes, you put some skill
Great two-way forward.
Really good two-way forward. Yeah.
2018, Rasmus Dahlin, right?
Yes.
Like you said, he doesn't have to be that household name anymore.
Yeah.
Even with the comparisons to Denny Potvin and there's just this. There's this
so ridiculous when we compare.
There's so much overhype to a lot of these first round, especially these recent 1st-round picks. Jack Hughes in 2019, he's starting to live up to that hype.
Oh, he's going to be a damn good player. But we have Shane Wright coming in, and I think Shane Wright's going to be pretty good. I don't think he's going to be elite, but I think he's going to be pretty good. And people are like, Patrice Bergeron, and it's like, no.
Shane Wright this year, 2020 you got Alexi Lafreniere, 2021 you have Owen Power. So when you're
Owen Power, Victor Hedman,
okay,
big defenseman, Victor Hedman.
God. So my point being, these from 2017 onwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your 1st and even your 2nd overall picks, your Capo Cacos, your I don't know why.
2017 2nd overall was Nolan Patrick.
Yeah. You have a lot of hype surrounding these kids, and you make all your comparisons and you think, what? I feel like a lot of fans think that a 1st overall pick every single year should be just this powerhouse offensive crazy dynamo.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree, because the days of 1st overall picks coming in and having 30 plus goals, 70 or 80 plus points, looking like Sidney Crosby.
I think Sid, Ovi,
and Ovi, and
Connor really kind of
and Austin
too. And Austin, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. These players, all 4 of these guys, live up to their hype.
Mm-hmm.
They live up to what has been expected of them, has been seen, all of that. But when you look at like 2017, when you look at Hischier, when you look at Lafreniere, when you look at Hughes, they're not those kinds of players.
They can be really, really good, but I agree with you in the sense that like because we have these fond memories of these unbelievable rookies going out and being great in their first year.
Mm-hmm.
We expect that from everyone.
Right.
We expect every first overall pick to come over, play immediately, and
put up over 100 points.
Immediately be great.
Just like, yeah.
It's not viable. It doesn't happen that way. So I get it from that perspective. And that's why I'm not harping on Lafreniere too much, because the other reason I'm not doing it is because I saw legitimate improvement from his rookie season to his second season. So
Right.
I'm looking at him, I'm like, does he look like a first overall pick right now? No, but I see a lot of improvement, and if that just continues, he can eventually look like one. I think he's a really good top six forward. He could be a really good player for the New York Rangers. I'm not really concerned about him, but I look at Kaapo Kakko. We've got 3 full years of him under in the spotlight in the National Hockey League. Jake, his first season in the National Hockey League, 0.34 points per game.
Oh.
His second season, 0.35 points per game. This season, 0.41 points per game.
Wow.
Very, very little improvement offensively. And I will give you the credit too. Like he has improved his defense, and that's good. Him improving defensively makes him someone that you absolutely put in your lineup every single night.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm not a huge fan of him, clearly, as you can see, because of what I'm saying, it's still ridiculous in the line for game 6. It is absolutely ridiculous. That is
the scratch was weird.
That was stupid. It was absolutely stupid because I'm sorry, like he hasn't shown up the way that I was hoping. I loved him coming in. I thought Kaapo Kakko was really
yeah. I mean, we praised that kid line for like,
Yeah. And I know that I gave more of the credit to Hedl specifically and Lafreniere, but you can't scratch him in a game 6 situation because at the end of the day, even though he hasn't broken out and been the player that you hope that he would be as the second overall pick, he is still the former second overall pick years ago. He's still got that skill in him. It was a 2-1 game. You don't know. Maybe he may have made, who knows? Maybe he has a breakout game. Maybe he scores a goal. Maybe he makes a big time play defensively. You don't know. Like Dryden Hunt's not making a fucking difference in the game.
No.
People are criticizing Gallant over, playing. Oh, Ryan Strom's hurt. This is the playoffs. Players play hurt. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing him for playing Ryan Strome over Kaapo Kakko. I'm criticizing him.
Darnell Nurse played with a torn hip flexor, for fuck's sake.
Yes. Players do it. I know people are pissed about him missing
torn hip flexor. Like, listen to the words that I'm saying.
That just sounds painful.
What? That just literally. Listen to me say it one more time. Torn hip flexor.
Torn hip flux capacitor. That's.
I should have worn that shirt today.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like, I understand him playing Strome 100%. You're paying him $4.5 million. I know he missed a wide open net in game 5, but he's still a skilled player who could play. Dryden Hunt and Kevin Rooney, why the fuck are they in your lineup over goddamn Kaapo Kakko?
Right.
If you're trying to keep this guy long term and you want him to turn into that player, you can't be doing that to him.
That's just kind of relationship tearing.
And then, like,
aren't the Rangers so good at that?
They just are. And the other thing is, like, fans are just so disingenuous too. And I'm not trying to call out Rangers fans too hard for this, but like, I understand, like, you want to stand by your player, you want to show support, and so many Rangers fans have been like, no, Kaapo Kakko's going to be good. But then every time a player becomes available for trade and they come up with mock proposals, interestingly enough, Kaapo Kakko's in the deal.
Kakko's everywhere.
They're like, oh man, Patrick Kane could be a Ranger.
Oh,
it's like, I mean, come on.
No, he's gonna be a Saber. Anyway, okay. So
anyway, we'll move on.
The Cup Final.
Yes.
Which I've been trying to get to for like 10 minutes now.
Yes. But I didn't let you, as most of these podcasts go.
Right. So we've got the Lightning.
Yes.
Not the Lightnings.
Nope. Just the Lightning. And The Avalanche. No S's.
Not the Avalanches.
First time ever.
First time ever. Is that not the most like weird but fun kind of
No,
stat?
it's so much fun.
It's like
there's not a lot of team in the league that don't have like their name ending with S, because like there's Lightning, Avalanche, Wild, Kraken.
mm-hmm.
It's gotta be other ones too, right?
I'm trying to think, right? I don't know. Those are the only four that really come to mind. I can look, but this is. I feel like everybody kind of expected this to be the Cup final one way or another.
It is the first time in a long time that the Stanley Cup final is what we thought, like just on paper it would be.
Right.
The team that's won the last two Stanley Cups and added at the deadline, and it's still really fucking good, against one of the best teams in the National Hockey League that just hasn't gotten over the hump yet. And now the Avalanche have, and it's Avs Lightning, and it's the best Stanley Cup final we could have asked for.
Nope, those are the only four teams that have it.
Oh, look at me go. Yeah. What?
The Kraken, the Wild, the Lightning, the Avalanche, and only one of them is an Eastern team.
Interesting.
Kind of fun, right?
Yeah, the Lightning have been making all these Stanley Cup finals. They're like, finally, someone fucking did it on the West. And interestingly enough, Jake, if the Lightning win the Cup, they'll have done it losing game one 3 out of 4 times. Lost game 1 in Toronto, lost game 1 to the Rangers, lost game 1 to the Avalanche, win the Stanley Cup. Now that's if they do it. Shame on you, Florida Panthers. Now I'm going to ask you, this is a fun trivia question. Who is the only team in NHL history to win the Stanley Cup while also trailing at one point in every single playoff series they were in up until winning the Cup? Do you know who it is?
Oh, I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say one of the Kings teams.
Nope. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it does relate to us.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Is it the first Lightning Cup?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I don't know.
Capitals in 2018, they were down 2-0 to Columbus. They were down 3-2 to the Lightning, and then they were down 1-0 to the Knights. Went on to win the Stanley Cup. What a run that was. Now Tampa's run isn't quite as adverse as that if they win.
No. Because I mean, come on, they just they mopped the floor with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And then like their Eastern final was weird too.
Yeah.
It was another one of those things, and I hate coming right back to the Eastern final, but it was like when they were down 2-0, it looked like 2019 for a second, right? And then they finally just turned it on, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're the Lightning. Let's go."
I had faith that they were going to win even when they were down 2-0 in the series, but when they were down 2-0 in Game 3, and it just looked like they had no life, I was like,
"Oh, are the Rangers going to do this?" Right.
And then when Andre Palat won it, I was like, "Oh no, that is bad news to the Rangers." Because, like I said, I don't know if it got posted or not because I didn't get the chance to see. But what we said during that podcast, and I still believe to this day, is it is a hell of a lot more demoralizing to lose a game in the final minute of regulation than it is in overtime in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Overtime in the playoffs, you have that understanding of like, okay, this is it. Next goal wins, whatever. Like, we're going to go all out. We're going to
do or die and reset for the next one. Yeah.
In the last minute of a game, especially when you're up 2-0 in a series and it's a tie game, you're just wanting to get to that overtime so you have that chance and have that be that. If they lose game 3, 2-1 in overtime, they might have been fine. The fact that they lost it with 41 seconds left in regulation is so demoralizing.
It's soul crushing. Yeah. So this is this is one of those neutral fan finals to me.
Yeah,
that
I'm not going to be upset.
Really, it's really fun, right?
Yeah, these are two great teams, and either Tampa Bay, we're going to see a 100% legit, unbelievable dynasty in the Tampa Bay Lightning, winning 3 straight. We'll get to say that the Blue Jackets were last year to beat them, or
turn the knife.
Jared Bednar. Jared Bednar is going to win a cup. Those are the two options.
Former Monsters head coach. Hey.
Yeah. Would you like the blue pill or the red pill? And I'm like, okay.
I love how you say Jared Bednar and not literally the 2 X factors that have been just driving forces for Colorado.
So trying to relate this back to the Blue Jackets.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
No,
so
man, or either Tampa Bay, it's a 3-peat, and the Blue Jackets are the last team to beat them, or Jack Johnson gets a cup.
Or JJ, yeah.
Not Cale Makar, not Landeskog, not Randy.
JJ, get the cup ring, baby.
Nope, it's Jack Johnson. not even the best Johnson on the team.
I do miss Jack like a lot.
I don't.
I mean, like just
a guy.
For sentimental reasons, yes. For player reasons, not as much.
Although with our defense was last year, he probably could have played through.
He could have fit right in.
But
we'll either get an actual dynasty in the first time since the 80s Islanders, which is wild.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. First actual 3 cups in a row since literally for 40 years.
The Tampa Bay Lightning are the ultimate example of sometimes
organization.
The best moves that you make are the ones you don't make.
Right.
They had every reason to go
blow it up.
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear.
Nuke it.
I promise I know what I'm talking about. They had every reason to go nuclear. After 2019, and they didn't.
Oh man, I mean, like just watching those U-Tree videos back, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, man, this poor guy, this poor Yins are so depressed over them being so successful.
But yeah,
just because the memes died, and he's like, "Oh, my livelihood."
For real. He spoke in a dynasty into existence with one tweet. But I also brought it up on the last podcast, like when we talked about the Rangers and their rebuild, and it goes back to like one moment, and it's the letter. One of the moments for Lightning is the tweet.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't lost the playoffs.
The huge apology. Yeah.
That's just, it's interesting sometimes with these things that the teams do, and just kind of how it works out, because they became such a laughing stock after that tweet. Now they haven't lost a series since.
And now this is probably their biggest test cup.
Yeah.
Because, 2020 in the bubble, Dallas, crapshoot.
Yeah.
And Dallas was good.
Everybody favored Tampa. Tampa was the better team.
Dallas was fine.
They're a good team. Sagan was at the top of his game. Heiskanen was at the top of his game.
Heiskanen was amazing.
I hate the fact that the bubble playoffs were so like, they just had that element of like, since no fans were there, it was just something missing. Yeah. And they weren't as exciting and they weren't as memorable because of that. And
there were memorable moments because of the bubble itself generated a lot of fun, memorable stuff, especially the 5 overtime game that we had.
5 overtime game. Yoel Kiviranta.
Yoel Kiviranta, absolutely. Hudobin's run.
But like,
Nas scoring against the Blues.
That wasn't even a play. That was one of the
that was a round robin game.
Yeah. But my thing is like, people don't like, if you're like, this is how I'll say it. If you're going back and watching YouTube and watching like best playoff moments, you're not really going to go to the bubble because it doesn't have the hype in it with the fans going crazy or like the crowd being silenced from Nazem Kadri. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have that to it. And I think as a result, people forget how fucking unbelievable Miro Heiskanen was in the bubble.
Oh, yeah. That was definitely his coming out party. And then
there's good news and bad news right now for the Colorado Avalanche, okay?
Well, let's just mention 2021 as well, right?
Yes.
Where it was Lightning and shit. I don't know why I'm completely blanked who they played.
I think I know why you played. Because they weren't good.
What's the 2021 fun?
Canadiens.
Oh, that's right. Because it was East on East. That's why.
Yeah.
That's a weird part of why I forgot. It wasn't an actual Western Conference opponent.
Yeah. That's true.
It's weird because like both of those teams play it on a regular basis in the same division.
Yeah, they're the same division, but they were in the Cup Final together.
It's so weird.
It's kind of like if, say, in like 6 years, the Red Wings play the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup Final, and you tell someone like in 2008, like, man, I can't wait for like 20 years from now when
the Red Wings and the Blackhawks. Yeah.
You'd be like, what the fuck?
Wait a minute, what? It's like right, exactly. So you have Dallas and then you have Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And Montreal was the definition of a Cinderella run.
Absolute. It shouldn't have even made the playoffs, but got in because of the stupid format. Overcame a 3-1 deficit to the Leafs because the Leafs leafed again. Beat the Jets because the Jets weren't very good and Scheifele was suspended.
That hurts my chest, man. It really hurts. Ugh.
For some reason, beat the Golden Knights. I still don't know how they beat the Golden Knights.
Marc-Andre Fleury had some brain farts. That's how.
Yeah.
He
drank juice on that one.
he turned into meme Andre Fleury for a minute again.
Yeah, he did.
This is really the Avalanche are their biggest actual test. Like they're the first legitimate. The first legit final test.
And that's not to take credit away from them for the last 2 Stanley Cups. It's just like of the 3, like, oh my God, Colorado's so much better than the other 2.
Legitimately. Okay. So to actually praise Colorado, you have Nathan McKinnon, you have Gabriel Landeskog, you have Cale Makar being just absolute beast mode everywhere. You have the tandem of Francouz and Darcy has been revolutionary.
Yes.
Because when Darcy went out and they had to strictly rely, Pavel's been perfect. He's a perfect 6-0.
Perfect Pavel.
There you go. And EJ's been great. Manson's been great. The depth options have been amazing.
You know how you know a team's great?
Darren Helm scoring a series winner.
Do you know how you know when a team's great, Jake? You just named all these players and you forgot to mention Mikko Rantanen.
I forgot to mention Nazem Kadri. I forgot. You know who else I forgot to mention? Who's just been an absolute like
Artturi Lehkonen.
Force of Mikko Lehtonen. That's Mikko Lehtonen to you. Valeri Nichushkin.
He's been getting Burakovsky.
Andre Berg, Valerie Nichushkin has been revolutionary ever since he got to Colorado.
We talk about Tampa Bay being machines for developing players and helping players. Colorado's the same damn way.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at a guy like Valery Nichushkin. He's so talented, and we knew it.
I mean, he was picked 10th overall.
Yeah, high draft pick. Skill was always very, it was evident, but like he's the classic case of a player who just has the tools and is struggling to put it all together. And he goes to Colorado, and wouldn't you know it?
Changes scenery, does some good. Yeah. It's weird how just a change of scenery can do everything.
Yeah. And it's not, sometimes it's just, a change of scenery getting out of a place. Sometimes it's also just a place you go,
Patty and PLD.
Yeah.
It
Patty
took
needed a change.
It took
game player.
It took Patrick a little bit. It took him a little bit of time and a coaching change.
PLD's pretty damn good for the Jets too.
Yeah. And I mean, Greasy.
Well, I think the ultimate example of change of scenery in that deal though is Roslovic.
Yeah, Rosie actually got a chance to play.
Yeah. And the change of scenery going to a team where he actually played in the top 6 and he was in his hometown. I mean, look at him.
Yeah.
And we'll get to his extension in a little bit, but I mean, I think he's the biggest example of change of scenery. He's been better than I think I ever could have expected him to be when we initially made the deal.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny how he was the throw-in to that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know he just like, it's one of those, yeah, it's a homecoming thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
At least for Jack.
Sometimes home cooking is the most delicious. Ask Sean Corrali.
Oh, yeah. I haven't gotten to watch that. I got to watch that video of him cooking for the team or whatever.
Is there actually a video of him cooking for the team?
I don't know if there's anything about him cooking for the team, but like, I can see it.
No, I was mostly just referring to the fact that he came home and had his best season.
Fair.
Because, like, sometimes playing for home is the best thing you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's the worst thing you could do. Look at John Tavares.
And PLD getting to play, working with his dad in the Jets org and all of that.
I really wish Torts would have gone to Winnipeg, man. That would have been so fucking funny.
That would have been I want to see. I would have loved to have seen like the Shift Part 2.
Yeah.
So, okay.
He has requested a trade back to Columbus.
Oh my God.
Anyway, we'll move on.
This time for Liam Foudy.
There is good news and bad news right now for the Colorado Avalanche. Which one would you like first?
I guess bad news.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to give you the good news first.
Well, Nas is skating. We know this.
Yeah. The good news is you're up 1-0.
Game two tonight, as of recording.
Yes. You won a hockey game. You're up 1-0 in the series, and you did so by dominating the Tampa Bay Lightning. The bad news is you dominated the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it took you overtime.
Right. Oh.
And the other bad news is Tampa had 2 days to rest.
You kind of woke the beast.
And the other bad news is, winning game 1 is nice. There's nothing wrong with winning game 1.
You got to win 3 more.
I do not win game 1. It's just that Tampa doesn't give a fuck if they don't win game 1.
Right.
It doesn't do it. They don't even care if they don't win game 2.
They don't even care that they don't have home ice throughout the playoffs.
Whatever. Who gives a fuck? Like, you know what? This will give us more time in another city. We get to explore.
Yeah. So picks. I know we
Tampa.
didn't really call.
Tampa
We
and
didn't
7.
really. Tampa and 7.
I know they're not one of this year. I don't care. Tampa and 7.
Don't care. I know we didn't get to talk about Colorado as much.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, Josh Manson, Darren Hell, the depth, Andrew Cogliano, Cogs could be back for tonight. Nas,
Nate McKinnon, don't care. Lightning winning. Lightning and 7.
Nas could be back tonight. We'll see, which is going to be huge for Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado was my cup pick. I think if anybody can stop the Lightning, it's these guys.
100%. I don't disagree with that.
So I'm gonna say Avs in 7.
My thing is, in a game 7,
Andrei Vasilevsky. Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally get your viewpoint. I get it.
Kemper played fine in game 1. He was good enough to win. He still doesn't seem to me at 100%.
Well, you got to remember it's his eye.
Exactly. And I'm not criticizing for that. I'm just saying, like, he's not at 100%. I think I'll take the healthy Andrei Vasilevsky over the injured Darcy.
Do you try Pavel tonight?
Well, no. When I said, because people were asking, like, oh, do you go Pavel or do you go Darcy? I said, I'm going Darcy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing how he plays. Like, if his eyes not bothering him too much, you acquired him for this reason. You let him play,
right?
But you put him on a little bit of a short leash to where if it's starting to bug him and he's not playing at the top of his game, you cannot afford to screw around in this series, especially.
Right. Oh so, yeah.
First sign of trouble, I would move to Pavel, but I think that Darcy has earned the opportunity to start the series at least.
Yes, fair enough. So you have Tampa in 7. I have Abs in 7.
Yes.
We're splitting hairs again.
Yeah.
One thing that we can't split hairs on is Yarmo's making some moves, and I'm liking these.
Love you, man.
I like these a lot. We're still waiting on the big extension.
Yeah, so there's 2 decent extensions that I like, and there's one that I love. Okay.
Well,
let's get to the quickest one first, and that's Liam Foudy,
which just broke yesterday. 2 years, still not even $1 million.
Yeah, so first year is a 2-way deal, and then like the second year is a 1-way deal.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make a little bit more money in the second year because they're assuming by that he's going to be a full-time NHL player.
It's weird because I'm trying to look at the cap friendly and find him. I think he's under like non-roster. Yeah, non-roster forwards.
Yeah.
It's only like 862,000. That's all that it is.
Yeah, not like a ton of money there, but still pretty decent for him.
What have we always said about Liam Foudy?
He just needs a chance to play. We gotta see what you got in him.
18th overall pick in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But he's getting to that point where we need to know what he can do.
Liam Foudy for Vitaly Kravtsov. No, I totally agree. Like, you know what his problem is like, I don't want to say the Blue Jackets are loaded center depth wise, but they have options at center, and it limits him because you have established whether it's third line or fourth line, Sean Corrali is a staple at center in your bottom 6.
Yes.
You've also established when healthy, Boone Jenner is your first line center.
Yes.
Cole Sillinger has more than earned the right to be the second line center.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's not a lot to work with as far as center's concerned because you also have Jack Roslovic. You also have Kent Johnson.
Which, can we talk about that for a second? We mentioned this in our text messages. Not seeing Kent as a center right away would be nice for his development. And a second line of KJ, Cole, Bjorkstrand
I think they complement each other well.
Is that not amazing?
There's a lot of
to think about.
there's a lot of it's good. It's a good two-way line, and a lot of offensive skill.
And I mean, you said that you never want to see Patty and Boone and Jake broken up.
It's your best player. There's no reason to see them apart.
No, because Jake and Patty do their thing, and then you have Boone just driving everything. Right?
He's just such an underrated playmaker.
Boone Jenner, absolutely.
Yeah.
He Gronks through. He's. Would you compare him to John Tavares in the way? Well, listen. I would compare him to John Tavares in that he can Gronk his way through everybody in order to drive the play. He's not that elite level that John Tavares is.
I just, who I think he reminds me a little bit more of, just stylistically. A more skilled and a better playmaking Nick Paul.
Okay, that's better. That's a better comparison. I don't.
I'm sorry.
I guess
like JT, man, but like the problem is not a lot of players who are built like JT. So like it's hard to have.
I have that like JT moment on the brain from when Austin was mic'd up and he was just you can kind of hear him toying with people in the background, right? That's why I got JT on the brain, where he's just like, you want the puck? I bet you do.
I have JT in the brain too, but it's Justin Timberlake.
Oh, cry me a river. So okay, Foudy, good deal. Show me deal.
Yeah,
this is absolutely a show me deal.
Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
I think Lars would give him a chance. We'll see how camp goes. And
the problem is they had him in the minors too. I think they wanted to give him an extra year of development in the minors this year. Mm-hmm. And the problem is I think that their plan was, once they traded Domi, from deadline on, we're going to give you a chance to maybe play in the bottom six, but he got hurt.
Right, him getting
so that might just be the issue. Is they wanted to give him that chance, but he hurt. So like,
I still remember we were trying to figure out why they called up somebody else.
They called up Carson Meyer instead of Liam Foudy. I'm like, okay, like I like Carson.
Oh, that's right, Carson.
It'd be fun, but like, why is Carson up rather than Liam Foudy? And then
we found out that it was Liam and like two other guys. All got hurt.
I think it was Liam, and if I'm not mistaken, Tyler Angle was also hurt.
Angle was hurt, yeah. And I think Fix was too.
Those are two. Fix and Angle are two very interesting prospects, both 7th round picks, both small guys, but very speedy and very underratedly gifted offensively.
Fix Wolanski looked really good in his call-ups last year.
He looks really good when I watch him in Cleveland, and same with Angle. I'm interested in those two guys, but obviously we're gonna have to see, because the problem is again, those Angle is naturally a center. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to move him to wing because of how crowded center is. At least you don't have that problem with Fix Wolanski because he's a winger,
right?
But, it's interesting. The Blue Jackets got some interesting prospects.
I mean, Texier can do both too.
Yeah, that's another thing. Tex can play center. I think he's better on the wing. So I'd like to keep him on the wing, but he is another guy who can also play center.
It's just a weird, like how many times have we talked about this? The logjam of guys that can do either position well.
And it sucks because you want to establish who are your centers, because you don't want to like move this guy center one day, wing next, because you want them to, like, if you're going to be a winger, you're going to develop as a winger. If you're a center, you're going to develop as a center. Sometimes it can stagnate your development. It's similar to like how an offensive lineman's development can stagnate if you have him at right guard one day and then he's at right tackle the next day. And we're going to try out at center. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know what your position is, and you have to learn that position and play that position. And I don't think there's anything wrong with versatility, but if you're shifting them all the goddamn time, it's so hard to learn that way.
Exactly. I pick a spot, learn that, be that.
if you want to like have Tex as a left winger next year, like all of next year, and then the year after that be like, we're going to try at center now. That's better than one night you're left wing, the next night you're center.
Right.
Now you're center again. Now you're left winger again. Like you know what I mean?
Game in and game out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or season by season is better than game by game. Or even month by month. 2 months you're a left winger. Now 2 months you're a center.
We're gonna try. Yeah.
Better. Yeah. Like,
and I think Boone went that way under Torts.
Yeah, there were several times that Boone was playing on the wing, and he's absolutely at his best at the center position because he's great at faceoffs and he's best at driving offense in the middle of the ice.
Amazing, very underrated defensively.
No.
Well, maybe not as underrated as
We've had this discussion before that his defensive flaws have been really, really overshadowed. Like they've been covered up by John Tortorella's coaching, and they've also been not covered up this past year, but not noticeable because everybody was dog shit defensively.
Right, yeah.
But
we're getting way, yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Okay. Second contract. We gotta drive this.
Yeah.
We gotta start driving the bus again. Second contract, Daniil Tarasov.
This is the deal I love. 3-year deal at $1.05 million. That is a steal. That third year of that deal at 1.05 is going to be an incredible steal for a guy who's going to be your backup goalie and could potentially play 30 games for you in a season. Be really good.
Yeah. And I mean, I said this right off the bat. Like, we know that Jonas is signed for this year. So he's backing up this year. In 23, 24, it's Tara time.
This deal makes me feel a hell of a lot better about Jonas Korpisalo being signed next year, because it gives everybody insight into the thought process.
It's a timeline thing, right? Yeah.
It's a timeline thing. This guy's hurt. We're going to focus on getting him recovered. And when he's fully recovered, we're going to let him play in the minors. And who knows, maybe he'll get a chance to play in the NHL this next year. If there's injury or something like that, maybe he'll play a few games at the end of the season if we want to call him up.
Right.
But our plan is we're not going to rush this kid. And so next year, he's going to play a little bit, but 2 years from now, he's our backup.
Right, exactly.
I feel good about that. Definitive. I feel a hell of a lot better about the Korpisalo extension for 1 year, knowing that their long-term plan is Daniil is absolutely in their long-term plans.
And it's a definitive timeline.
Yes. That makes me feel so much better about it. They're just keeping someone in the organization who knows the team and has been around for a while, and Korpisalo as the backup. And I think it helps that they're not expected to be a playoff team next year, so you can kind of get away with that. So yeah, I'm fine with that now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great for Tara just to know where he stands now.
Yeah, it is great for him to know, like, I am a very legitimate part of this team's long-term plans.
Right.
That's a very good feeling for a player to know that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially a goaltender who, when you're looking above you and you see that a guy like Elvis Merzlikins got a long-term extension. So I think that helps him a lot. I think that'll help him play a little bit more free. Help his confidence a little bit. Not that he has problems with confidence. It just makes he can't have too much confidence.
Don't get shocky, kid. I do. Dude, I hope he comes up and finally gets that first win. He looked so good last year in the little time that he had. He should have gotten a win last year. I know the defense in front of him was just
that Carolina game. I know he got hurt in that game, but like, God, if they had just held on, he could have gotten the win in it.
He played so well in those 3 games. He deserved a win out of any of those. And so I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Will you accept this rose?
No. And call.
And call. Hometown boy, Rosie Stan.
This is, in my opinion, the definition of perfect deal for both sides.
Yes.
Jack Roslovic gets a 2-year extension and a significant pay raise. He's getting double what he was making before, so he's getting $4 million per year. So this is why it's great for the Blue Jackets. You're not locked in long term.
Right.
You're not paying him a ton of money. It's not necessarily a prove me kind of deal. It's more so we're going to give you a 2-year extension. And if you're who we saw in the second half of the season during that, we're going to lock you up long term.
Right.
And so that's good for the Blue Jackets that they're not going to overpay for this guy. They're keeping him around. He appears to at least be in their short-term plans with the potential of being in their long-term plans if he continues to play well.
Right.
And the good news for Roslovic is, like I said, it's multi-year, 2 years. You're getting a significant pay raise. And most importantly, when it's over, you're a UFA rather than an RFA. So that gives the player more leverage to make more money at the end of the deal. And the other thing is, like, if he plays well this season and the Blue Jackets decide you're absolutely in our long-term plans, they can negotiate a contract extension beginning of next offseason.
To eat up UFA years, yeah.
Yeah. So that's, another route that could happen as well. Like if Roslovic goes out and scores like another 25 goals at 50 points, like, oh, God, yeah, you absolutely keep him around. So they can,
for sure.
They can spend the money to keep him in Columbus long term and have him be a part of their plan. So, like, generally speaking, I think it's a deal that really works for both sides. It benefits both.
It benefits both in terms of the cap structure, especially with the. We never got to talk about the cap going up. Either. The cap's going up $1 million starting next year, so it'll be 82.
Yeah.
82 and a half. And then so Bettman basically said they're going to try 1 million increases for 3 years, and then they're finally going to jump the shark and just really bump it up to like 90 or something.
Let me tell you, Jake.
At least they're
the off season when there is that jump, you are going to see some of the most hilarious contracts you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a return to all the backdiving stuff.
Oh my God, it's going to be the 2016 off season all over again.
Oh yeah, Who's our new Louis Eriksson?
Who's our new Milan Lucic?
Who's our new Jay Beagle?
Oh my God, dude. There's going to be, so many. When they have that big jump, there's going to be so many GMs who are fired because of how they did that free agency.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have 3 Jim Bennings in that free agency period.
Don Sweeney.
He's going to be fired by then.
I do love the Rosie deal and how I can't say it enough. The hometown marketability.
Yeah.
You have 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Roslovic, Sean Corrali, Cole Sillinger, Carson Meyer. You have 4 guys.
And 3 of them are legitimate pieces to your core in Roslovic, Corrali, and Cole.
Yeah.
Now, Carson Meyer could eventually become one. I'm not against the idea that he could be a part of our future in terms of core. Still got a lot to prove there, but it's exciting that he's a part of that too, since he went to Ohio State and Miami of Ohio.
Yeah,
that's exciting. That's good stuff.
Hometown marketability, growing the game in the market with these 4 guys. And now, because you have 3 more years of Corrali.
Yeah.
You have Cole on his entry level. And he's going to be here for ever.
Yeah, he's absolutely he is one of the pieces.
Yes, yes. And with Carson, we'll see. But again, being a local kid helps. And now you got the Powell kid too.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are looking at like the future of this team. That Werenski's a big piece. Obviously, they extended him. People want Patrick Laine to stay so bad, and it's because they've been burned by free agents and whatnot. Like we get, in my opinion, Cole Sillinger is absolutely a bigger piece in the Blue Jackets' minds than Patrick Laine is. And there's nothing against Laine. I think it's just they looked at that kid this last year and what he did, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, they looked at him and they're like, he's just getting started.
I mean, he was so good in so many ways for them as a rookie at the age 18 years old.
Now 19.
Yeah. It's like he was 18 for like the entire season, basically.
Yeah. He just turned 19, last month?
Yeah. It's incredible, man. Like it's the future of the Blue Jackets is so bright simply because of what they've been drafting lately.
You sent me those cards, the JFresh cards.
Let me pull something up for you that I found.
You sent me those.
Hilarious. Okay.
You sent me those 4 JFresh cards, and I was like, oh yeah, JK killed it.
Oh, absolutely, he did.
While you're pulling that up, we're going to transition over to. I mentioned Don Sweeney earlier. Yeah. What the hell? What the hell even happened these last couple of weeks? Like Bruce Cassidy getting fired for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Like legitimately zero reason to be fired.
Let me pull, because I have his thing up. I have his like statistics or whatever, his coaching statistics. It takes over in 16-17. He goes 18-8-1 in 27 games.
Mm-hmm.
First full season, 50-20-12. Then the next year, 49-24-9 for 107 points after 112. 19-20 in 70 games, they got exactly 100 points. 44-14-12. And then 56 games, 33-16-7. At worst, you're getting a .650 winning percentage with this coach. At
Terrible.
Worst.
Fire him.
Yeah, get rid of him.
So here's what I'll say.
That's regular season.
In defense of Don Sweeney, for once, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don Sweeney's not a good general manager. I'm not a fan. I don't believe that this was his decision. I think Don Sweeney recognizes, like a lot of people have this perception of GMs, like general manager of the National Hockey League, or just any sport. Their job is to win the Stanley Cup or win a Super Bowl or win the World. And it's not. Their job is to keep their fucking job. That's what they're working for, right? And Don Sweeney recognizes that the seat is hot, so his hands are tied. Mm-hmm. I think Don Sweeney liked Bruce Cassidy, and I think that's why he told him your job is safe. I'm fairly confident that this firing came from Cam Neely and Jeremy Jacobs.
Well, you got to think too that, what I listed, that was just regular season stats, right?
Yeah. And in the playoffs, he's an excellent coach too.
In the playoffs, he's gone. He's at most, they went what? Mostly second round, third round exits. They made the Cup Final one year.
They lost in 7 this year to Carolina, a team that's far better than them.
He won the Jack Adams in 1920.
Yes. He's even going to Stanley Cup Final. They were a game away. They're a Brad Marchand terrible line change away from winning the Stanley Cup.
Right, exactly.
God, it's just
It's baffling,
he's
is it
such
not?
a good coach. Through all the turmoil, everything that's happened.
Well, because there are rumors. There are so many rumors saying he doesn't get along with the younger guys on the team.
Well, here's the thing: you're a coach of a team that fucks up 3 straight picks. No, Jake DeBrusk is a good player, okay, but
he's no Matthew Barzal. He's not
Yakov
Zboril. Zboril could be okay.
He could maybe be a 7th defenseman. I mean,
he could be okay. He's no Thomas Chabot.
There's nothing there. So Jake DeBrusk is really the only player he got from that.
Yeah.
DeBrusk is streaky as hell. And through the years, he has lost Tuukka Rask.
Mm-hmm.
He lost David Krejci.
Yep.
And
could lose Patrice Bergeron.
He could. Well, I mean, he's not going to lose Patrice Bergeron now that he's fired. But this coach, this year they were like, all right, man. Well, losing Krejci sucked. Lost good old Daniil Tarasov, lost good old Tuukka Rask. Well, you know what? Here's Eric Holla.
I was gonna say Holla, Coyle,
and they won overall. They got over 100 points this season and took Carolina to 7 fucking games. Man? What more do you want him to do?
No,
it's not that great of a roster. Their defense is good. You got Grzelcyk, you got McAvoy. They went out and they got Hampus Lindholm. They have Brandon Carlo. Mike Riley's really good, but also, I mean, it should be noted that
the Taylor Hall trade.
You look at Matt Grzelcyk and everybody's like, yeah, he's pretty good. I would say that Bruce Cassidy has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Same with Charlie McAvoy and his development. I would say Bruce Cassidy's had a lot to do with that.
Brandon Carlo.
The same with him. Their strengths.
Jeremy fucking Swayman.
Yeah, I like Swayman. I thought he was going to be really good going in. I loved him at Maine. Maine has done such an unbelievable job historically at developing.
It boggles my mind that they fired this guy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't get it.
This is just another prime example of NHL front office politics.
Boys Club.
Yep. And it's going to cost Sweeney his job. It's going to end up costing Neely his job. And the Boston Bruins are going to be so beyond fucked.
Well, we know now. Okay, so we know now that he is now Vegas's new head coach. Which...
And that immediately puts them back into the conversation next year as a legitimate Stanley Cup contender.
Jack Eichel under Bruce Cassidy.
I saw a tweet from one of the Bruins. I think it may have been Ian McLaren. He was like, Bruce Cassidy and Jack Eichel together, just the way we always wanted it. It was like, oh man, if I'm a Boston fan, I'm so sick to my stomach right now about that.
Mark Stone under this coach.
I understand that Vegas has no goodwill as an organization with how they treat people, but their roster is so damn good. I don't even think Bruce Cassidy cares. Bruce Cassidy is like, yeah, you guys are very stone-faced.
Your shitty cutthroat
organization, but I just got fired in my fucking living room, so I don't really give a shit anymore. You got a good roster, so
yeah, we'll see.
He was like, I mean, he's like, yeah, you guys have been treating your employees like shit when you get rid of them, but I just got fired in my own fucking house, so I'm at a point where that nothing's really gonna bother me anymore.
Right, I got fired in my house, and I don't know why.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna come here. That's another thing, Jake. God, you just know you fucked up so bad when you fire a coach and he immediately becomes everyone's number one target to become their next coach, and he's hired in less than a week.
Well, it's funny because that was the Trotz sweepstakes, and then Cassidy got fired, and then all of a sudden it was rose-colored glasses. We haven't heard a lot about Trotz. recently, huh?
I didn't realize this.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Cassidy's 57.
Yeah, he's pretty young.
He's a hell of a lot older than I thought, though. I looked at that dude and I was like, I mean, dude, this guy's like in his like mid 40s and you just fired him for no reason. He's got so much.
Yeah.
I looked him up and I was like, this guy's 2 years younger than Barry Trotz. Like, what?
Fountain of youth, I guess. I don't know.
God, wow, that is a dude who has done a very good job of looking young. But yeah, either way, he's a good coach.
I mean, success kind of helps in that too.
It's going to be a great fit in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be a legitimate. And here's the other thing that I said to you is like, so many people were questioning, like, what's the deal with Robin Lehner? I now feel like Vegas, with this hire of Bruce Cassidy, has done enough to be satisfied in their minds of big offseason move. They did it with the coach. We don't need to make big offseason move for goaltender now. We'll just throw Pete DeBoer under the bus for everything that happened with Robin Lehner.
Right.
I think Bruce Cassidy's going to go in there, right? He's going to immediately go in and be like, hey, man, look, I just coached Tuukka Rask. Look at his numbers. You know, I coached Linus Ullmark. Look at his numbers the one season under me. Look at Jeremy Swayman.
Jeremy Swayman, yeah.
Stay here, man. Like, I know things kind of ended shitty last season. You're a really good goaltender. We got a really good team here. We can win a Stanley Cup.
We trust in you. And yeah.
So I think that that's not going to be an issue. I think he's going to come in. Robin Lehner, that situation will be repaired, and they'll move on from there, trying to figure out how, what other moves they can make this off season.
Now, do you think, just to wrap up the Boston part, do you think they make an internal hire?
No, like they're gonna hire David Quinn, and it is going to be the most ridiculous hiring of all time.
No, they're gonna go full circle and hire Pete DeBoer.
If that's what they do,
who else is out there?
I mean, Trotz is out there, but
Trotz is out there. I doubt him. I doubt he goes there. Vigneault's out there. Literally, like, I don't know why Vigneault is the first name.
Oh, fuck that. No.
I think
no. I've heard from many Boston sources that their number one like contender right now to get the job is David Quinn.
Okay.
Because of his ties to Boston, I think that's a terrible hire. I don't think it's a fit, and it's not an upgrade at coach. It doesn't really. It's stupid. You know what it is? They'll hire David Quinn. It's not going to work. Neely's going to get fired.
Right.
Sweeney's going to get fired. David Quinn's going to keep his job for an additional year. When a new regime comes in, then he's going to get fired, and the Bruins are going to be fucked, and they're going to have to trade Brad Marchand at some point.
They're going to. I mean, Pasta already wants out. From what we've
I don't
heard.
think he wants out. It's just it's the issues with long-term extension. I think for him, it's like, if I'm going to sign a long-term extension here, I want to do it knowing that I can trust in the regime. And I think that there's a significant lack of trust right now with him and Don Sweeney and Cam Neely and all those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
They fucked up. That's the best way I can say it. Boston fucked.
Yeah, Boston fucked up. I don't know if Philly did. We'll see.
I don't think Philly did. I think Philly made a great decision.
Torts is back behind the benches, baby. Yeah,
genuinely. I think out of any coach that they could have hired, outside of maybe Barry Trotz, the best fit for the Philadelphia Flyers and what they're trying to do right now. Now, here's the situation. I disagree with what they're trying to do. They should be trying to tear it down and rebuild. But like I said, GMs are just trying to keep their job. And right now, with the expectations of ownership and everything like that, Chuck Fletcher wants to win.
Well, Chuck Fletcher.
That's why he traded to get Rasmus Ristolainen. That's why he traded a lot to get Rasmus Ristolainen. That's why they might be willing to trade the 5th overall pick and a hell of a lot of other assets to get Alex DeBrincat.
Oh God, I forgot about
that. There's a lot that Chuck Fletcher wants to do to try and make this team better, even though they really should be rebuilding. So what he is going to do is he's going to hire the coach that gives them the best chance of winning the next 2 years. Who can really squeeze the best out of our team in these next 2 years to give us the
We
best
all
shot of
know.
making it to the playoffs, and that's Torts.
We all know that Torts can squeeze the blood from a stone.
Yes.
We saw it firsthand for years.
So I think there is not a coach in the National Hockey League outside of Barry Trotz.
Loved the reactions to this hire.
Me too.
The reactions to this hire were so much fun. Especially, first of all, he's getting 4 years under contract, which awesome job security for an awesome guy.
Yeah.
The social media reaction between former players was so much fun, especially guys that like Cam's like, oh no, and Zach's like, this is perfect, and Doobie's like, run.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't understand the hate for Torts. I kind of do, but for me, with Torts, he's a great coach.
With Torts now, I don't get it. Torts, Vancouver Torts, I can kind of get it.
Vancouver Torts, I totally get it. New York Torts, I totally get it. Tampa Torts, I definitely don't get it.
No.
But for Torts, there's no coach in the National Hockey League who's better, as you said, at squeezing blood from a stone outside of Trotz. The only difference between Torts and Trotz, outside of just a couple of letters, is Trotz is significantly better at the longevity of it. And Trotz could be with an organization for 8 years and his tactics will work the entire time. And he won't wear out his welcome. He won't wear thin on players. That's the element Torts struggled with.
Yeah, and he finally came around to that. I think in the last couple of years.
He came around at that with Columbus, but even then, it still had. He still has a shelf life.
Yeah,
you know, he came in 2016 and he lasted all the way until 2021.
Coaches are hired to be fired.
Yeah,
that's the
they really are. And granted, they didn't fire him; they mutually agreed to part ways. But
his contract was up and whatever.
Yeah, I get what you mean in that sense that like in the National Hockey League, it's such a shit show with coaches, especially with how long they are.
The recycle.
Just look at the Canadiens the last 2 years.
Dom Ducharme.
Fucking Dom Ducharme and all that.
Fire him again.
It is such a ridiculous sport in that aspect. But Torts is being brought in. Like, it's a 4-year deal, as you mentioned. I don't think he's going to see the entirety of the 4 years. I think he's going to see like 3.5, probably. I think it's going to work for 2 years. The 3rd year is going to be rocky, but they're going to try and stick with it. And then eventually he's going to get fired in the 4th year. But it's going to accomplish the goal. It's going to accomplish Chuck Fletcher's goal of keeping his job for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And for Flyers fans, it's not great because a lot of them want Chuck Fletcher fired because he sucks at his job. But here's the good thing. If you're going to gain anything from this, you have the opportunity to solidify Carter Hart as the guy.
Yeah.
If you look at Torts' first year when he came, like his first full season in Columbus, 50 wins. Sergei Bobrovsky won the Vezina with a .931 save percentage and a .206 goals against average. Carter Hart is incredibly talented. There's a reason he's been so highly touted as a prospect, and there's so much hope around him.
He's still super young as a goalie.
Yeah. If you gain nothing else from this experience, whether it be playoffs or not, I don't really care. The one thing that I think they'll get out of it that's positive is I think that he's really going to help the development of Carter Hart.
Yes. It's nice that he gets to reunite with Cam. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it is. Cam liked him. Cam liked him a lot. I mean, if you look at it, his first full season in Columbus, who had the most points on the team that season?
Atkinson.
He had 62. He had 35 goal season, 62 points. He was the best player. Cam Atkinson liked playing under Torts. even for being a streaky player, Cam is a very mentally tough guy. He's very coachable, and
Underrated goal scorer.
incredibly underrated goal scorer. Very effective two-way guy.
Mm-hmm.
He works well for what he does. I think he's a perfect fit under Torts, and I think he's, when a Torts goes to a team, you need kind of a spokesperson a little bit.
Cam is that now.
Exactly. When he first came to Columbus, it was Doobie.
Mm-hmm.
When he first came to the New York Rangers, he wasn't there his first season, but eventually they brought in Brad Richards.
Right.
So I think that's what it is. I think Cam works well in that role.
Yeah. All the best to Torts. I mean, it's good. It's going to be interesting to see him in division again and having to cheer against him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm happy for him. He deserved another chance to coach in the National Hockey League with such a good job that he did in Columbus, and I'm happy for him. He's a very. I know a lot of people love to look at the hilarious moments, him going off on Larry Brooks and whatnot. He is a genuinely very good person. He deserves.
Yes, absolutely. One of the best in the sport in terms of just a genuine person. We're going to touch on this trade really quick. We got underrated players, and then we're going to very briefly touch on the sale that happened yesterday. And then we're going to end things. So Vegas made a move with Montreal, and a trade tree continues.
Yeah. So LTIR at its finest. Evgenii Dadonov has finally been successfully traded. He will go to Montreal. So this is a good deal for both sides. It makes sense because the Canadiens get rid of Shea Weber's contract because they don't need it. Vegas desperately needs it because they need it for LTIR purposes. That gives them more money to spend and keep their team together.
Yep.
And what Montreal gets out of it, they get a pretty solid middle six forward who has 1 year left on his deal.
They get a roster player. Yeah.
They get a roster player who could play a few months for them and then will probably be dealt at the deadlines for draft capital.
Where do you think he plays? Like who?
Left wing.
Well, I'm trying to think. Dadonov.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Because you're going to have Suzuki on your top line. I'd imagine you're going to go Suzuki with probably Hoffman and
Caulfield. Okay. So then Dadonov and Wright, if they go ahead and call him up right away, depending on.
And it also depends because we also don't know what their future looks like with Christian Dvorak. There's been rumors that he might be dealt. Not sure what the situation is. I would keep him personally.
Plus, we also but don't know that they're picking Wright at the same time.
Well, they really like Slafkovsky.
We don't really. They've got to pick Shane Wright. And then that's the thing too, is do they, does he make the show off the bat too?
I got to tell you, man, it would be so genuinely hilarious if they didn't pick Shane Wright. Could you imagine Shane Wright on the Devils?
Oh.
Going right down the middle.
Dude, with Hughes, Heischer, Wright.
Yeah.
Oh, disgusting.
It'd be stupid. Yeah. Shane Wright's one to Montreal and
Dadonov, Wright, and Drouin maybe.
Yeah, interested to see what they do with Drouin this offseason.
Yeah. Drouin is one of those stories that they've had. That's where do you go from here?
Because if they want to trade him, they could trade him. But again, it's a situation. Who's going to take him at $5.5 million with 1 year left?
After everything he's gone through too recently.
Yeah. It's just he's been all over the place. In terms of on ice performance, obviously he left with his he had some mental health troubles, right?
It was mental health, yes.
Yeah, and I hope that he's doing well. I'm glad that he had the chance to step away and focus on that. But the fact that he was away it gives us more uncertainty with where he is as a hockey player at this point in his career. And with that being the case and him making, $5.5 million, it's tough to move him. So I'm not sure if they want to keep him. I'm not sure what the deal is there. Maybe they buy him out. There's a plethora of different things that they could do. Be interesting to see.
I think getting Weber off the books also helps finagle with Carey and his cap hit still too, because we don't know what's going on with Carey Price either.
He might be an LTIR situation too.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Part of me gets the feeling that like he will definitely eventually be an LTIR guy. But I get the sense that he might want to trade like one more kick at the can and try and play next year. You know, he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy who wants to just let this beat this right now.
Carey needs that. Carey's the kind of competitor that needs that.
Yeah.
But either way,
for like our sake, I'd love to see him again.
Yeah.
He's fucking Carey Price.
Exactly. Overall, just kind of a, whatever kind of trade, but at the same time, it's like your typical off-season trade, right?
Yeah.
Underrated player. I am going to pick from a list here. I'm going to pick the Lady Byng winner.
Who won Lady Byng this year?
Our favorite Jet.
Oh, Kyle Connor.
Mm-hmm.
He is a very, very interesting circumstance for underrated player because there's zero reason he should be underrated.
Exactly. There are points where it's like he's bordering on overrated at times. I don't know if it's just because he plays with Scheifele and Wheeler, and those two are the definition of overrated.
Yeah. You know what? Give him a shout out for his excellent season.
I mean,
I'm going to go.
Winning the Lady Byng for Kyle Connor too is just kind of like,
he deserved it. I'm going to go with the former Blue Jacket.
Are you?
43 goals, 43 assists for 86 points. I'm going to give it to Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene has somehow in the last 2 years found a way to become an underrated player, hasn't he?
He's
effective at both ends of the ice. He's, obviously he's very talented offensively. He's a good goal scorer, but underrated playmaker, I think.
I'm very happy for Matt over this last year.
It also didn't help with how much money he was making, where people were like, "Oh, he's making what is it, $8 million? It's too much." I
think him and Joey are both making around $8 million. Yeah, and they both had very solid comeback years.
Yeah. Let me look it up. Okay, so he's making $8 million for the next 4 years. His WAR percentage this year is 96%. His offense was in the 93 percentile. His finishing was at 98.
Oh my god.
He's excellent on the power play, high finishing percentage. Goals per 60 is really good. Primary assist per 60 is really good. Penalties, 95 percentile. This guy draws way more penalties than he takes.
And we know he's a playoff performer, even though we didn't get to see much of that this year.
Yeah, he was really good with the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
Also, there's zero reason for me to bring this up. This is super mean of me to bring up, but I wanted to bring it up. Okay. So this is the prospect card thing that I wanted to share real quick. I think it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Last year in the draft, the Columbus Blue Jackets with the 12th/11th overall pick got a player named Cole Sillinger. Cole Sillinger, according to his prospect card, projected chance of becoming a star. Now, they define a star as being in the top 18.5% of wins above replacement per 82 games. Okay. 74% chance that ranks fourth in the National Hockey League. Projected chance of becoming full-time NHL player,
right?
Which is 200 plus games with a positive wins above replacement, 99%. Okay.
I mean, we kind of knew that.
Yeah. So that's Cole Sillinger. The player selected before him was Tyler Boucher, 10th overall for the Ottawa Senators. Right now, what do you think his projected chance of becoming a star is?
Boucher's?
Yeah.
Becoming a star. Under 50. Ooh.
It ranks 201st.
Mm,
His projected chance of becoming a full-time NHL player, guess what percentage?
10.
Double it, 4.
Wow. And this is the pick that they got in the Duchesne trade, right?
No, that was the 19. They got Lassie Thompson.
That was Lassie Thompson. Okay, and he's fine.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine. But yeah, no, this was just Ottawa's pick for sucking, and he picked Tyler Boucher.
Anyway, so Dutchy,
underrated player. Great season. Happy for Dutchy. Wish he was still here though.
Honestly, yeah, he would be a pretty yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, Cole is the perfect fit.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we kept Dutchy, we would have won more games and we wouldn't have gotten Cole.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we would have because it was the Blackhawks trade. That wasn't our own pick, so maybe we would have. Who knows? We'll never know.
I don't know, but yeah, good on Dutchy. And speaking of his team, this was weird.
Yeah.
So the Predators are getting sold to is it Billy Haslam?
Yeah, they're getting sold to a Haslam. That's all you need to know.
Right.
I don't know much about this Haslam, but I'm sure he sucks at his job
as much as Jimmy does.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the Dolans. Once you're like a Dolan or a Haslam, you're just bad at being an owner.
I didn't even know there were multiple Dolans.
Well, Paul Dolan's the one who owns the Guardians.
Okay.
So he's like not like
because like everybody knows James, right?
Yeah, everybody knows good old Jimmy Dolan.
Jimmy Dolan
and his stupid band.
His dad rock band.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody knows James Dolan for being a piece of shit, but Paul Dolan
not like calling out George Parros's job.
Yeah, Paul Dolan doesn't come off like a total dickhead. He's just cheap.
Yeah, and I can attest to that too. Having
Reds and Guardians, baby, let's go.
Cheap baseball ownership.
Yeah.
Castellini can.
Bro, no, I feel you so hard.
So, what does this mean for Nashville? Like, are they the next potential?
No, they're not going anywhere because they're from Tennessee, so they have ties to Tennessee. So
that's right. Yeah,
Nashville is going to stay. And
so this is more. Anyway. I mean,
this is just a profit.
I guess it's fine because it's like I don't even know what to say about this one because the ownership is hard to talk about in certain unless you're.
It is. The reason that I find it hard to talk about this one specifically is because I'm not really familiar with the old ownership group at the Predators.
Right. And this one is going to be because the biggest ownership groups we talk about, we don't even talk about ours often.
Yeah.
Like we don't talk about Columbus's because they just kind of do their thing, right?
They're very much out of the press because they're not very, very involved Pagula-like in terms of day-to-day decision making.
We don't talk about the McConnells as much as we talk about the Pagulas or the Melnick estate, which I hope they're doing fine now.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do. We don't talk about them like we talk about Maruello
or the Dolans
or Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah, or even recently in the last month, Jeremy Jacobs.
Jeremy Jacobs is getting a lot of heat.
Yeah. So I think so. Look, the Haslam family, they're all clowns, but I don't think this is going to affect the Predators at all. This is just simply a move to try and acquire a hockey team and to profit, and they're not.
Being where they're from, it's a good like stability move to keep the team there too.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that someone from Tennessee and has significant ties to Tennessee is getting it, they don't have to worry about anything. Right.
Now they just kind of have to worry about winning.
Yeah. Got to get back to those winning ways of the Predators that we haven't really seen in the last few years. And it's interesting to see because I look at Doug Wilson stepping down in San Jose. I wonder when the time comes for David Poile.
Yeah, because he's been there forever. He's been there from the beginning.
I get the sense they don't want to fire him. I think they're waiting for him to step down at some point.
That could be. That could be a thing. That definitely sounds like what they're going for.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's been a bad general manager.
No, there's a reason he's been there for so long. He's been such a good general manager, but the last 5 years, like, it goes for players, it goes for coaches, and it goes for GMs. You can be really good at your job for a long time. Eventually you wear out your welcome a little bit, and you get, especially when it comes to coaching and general managing, like you lose touch a little bit.
I mean, we saw that with George McPhee in Washington and a little bit in Vegas.
I think the best example is you look at Doug Wilson. He was such a good general manager so long, and now they're like, the Sharks are fucked right now financially with their cap because of so many of these contracts that Doug Wilson signed them to, and it's like, man, Doug Wilson had such a good tenure with the Sharks, but it leaves such a sour taste in your mouth looking at the mess he kind of leaves them in.
I mean, it's unfortunate the way he had to go, but because a lot of Doug's was health reasons. But it's interesting to say the least. But we'll see what this does for Nashville in the long haul, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And we'll see what their first round opponent does over the next couple of days, including tonight. We got game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. And
the Lightning will win that game by a final score of 5-3. That is my prediction. 5-3 is my prediction.
I'm going to say Avs 3-2 overtime. Cale Makar winner.
Fuck you. I will say, I haven't gotten the chance to see a lot of players like when they played in college live and then go to the National Hockey League. Interestingly enough, 2 players that I did get the chance to see live in college are now on the Avalanche with a chance to win the Stanley Cup, and that's Cale Makar and Nico Sturm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Kind of fun. So
pretty fun. We'll be 3 games deep for our next show, people.
All righty.
See y'all later.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at By J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.